Peace, calm, no notifications, and all because I switched to a dumb phone and I would never go back. There was one point a few years ago when I was just completely sick of this little piece of plastic right here. I was daily wasting hours on end, I was getting brain rot par excellence, and it somehow just made me feel miserable. So I quickly hopped on Amazon and ordered the cheapest dumb phone I could get. This is the Nokia 105, and I used this little dumb phone here as my daily driver for 3 months straight. Out of the box it came with a charger, a removable battery, and you guessed it, a phone. The phone itself is super simple. You can write messages, you can set alarms, you can even play Tetris and make phone calls as well. And because I was just super sick of my screen time at that time, I decided to really go cold turkey and completely switch my smartphone for a dumb phone. And the first month was really like a honeymoon. I wanted to go all in and try my first digital detox. And I messaged everyone I knew that from now on I could only be contacted by SMS or phone calls and no messengers anymore. And the first days were such a new experience to me. I honestly felt like I had to relearn so many things in my life. It felt really weird and sometimes almost as if I was naked. When I went outside for a walk, there was nothing that I could distract myself with. No music, no podcasts, no audiobooks. When I was on a bus, when I was on a train, I just stared out the window and everything was just boring. But I kinda liked it, actually. So basically my whole life, the only thing that I knew was to distract myself when the slightest feeling of boredom or uncomfortableness actually came up. You don't feel that well or don't want to be doing what you're doing at the moment, distract yourself. But now my screen time was basically zero. Well, I don't know whether you can call that screen time. I mean, like, look at it. And after a few days of actually getting accustomed to this, I really felt like I was feeling the benefits of it. I was calm, I was really in the moment, I could really think more clearly, and I felt so much more mindful without doom scrolling at every opportunity at hand. I really much loved it. But you know what is even better? The battery life. Only having to charge your phone like every couple of days or so is just so ridiculous. And I just felt like life was simpler with a dumb phone. Oh fuck, it's Michael again. Simple is actually a good topic. So I did not really expect this because of course you can write messages as in any normal messenger with this phone. Like you have a keyboard here and I could just normally text people whenever I wanted. But the thing is, although there is a keyboard, it's really not that practical to really much write on it because it's just a huge pain in the ass. So as I'm actually naturally more of a person that actually likes to text people instead of call them, I was super surprised by this as well. But I really much enjoyed that I called people way more often with this phone. Because as I said, super impractical to text people. So whenever I actually normally would text them, I would give them a call. And I really much liked this because it was nice. I was catching up with family and friends way more often, even if it just was for a small thing or so. You ended up catching up and talking for maybe 10 or 15 minutes or so, which was super nice. Because texting is often just kind of quick. You ask or say what you have to say and then close the messenger again and vice versa. But after about a month or so, I had the realization, hey Nokia, navigate me to the closest supermarket.
What the hell? I cost $30.
That it could also be really annoying. So you see, I was actually super happy with how things were actually going with the dumb phone, but there were kind of more and more situations where I really wished I had a normal smartphone. GPS and navigation was just so annoying because of course you can drive by memory and sometimes this even has something to it and it's kind of rewarding. But in general, when you have to drive far away, when you don't really much know the way, or when you just simply are short on time and have to get from A to B, I would just like to use some normal Google Maps on my smartphone. And the same actually applies to public transport as well, because normally I would just open my app, look when the train arrives, whether the train actually arrives at all. Trains in Germany are never on time, or whether it arrives on different tracks. But now I was completely clueless. I had no information whatsoever, and I actually had, because I couldn't look it up on my phone, to go into the railway station, look it up on paper time schedules, which were super inaccurate because trains are often late. Plus nowadays I can't even use a physical ticket anymore because I have to have it all on my phone digitally, which makes it impossible not to use a smartphone actually. These were the first times when I thought like, man, screw this stupid dumb phone, because this was actually supposed to create calmness and make my life easier. But in these situations, it was exactly doing the opposite. Although I actually previously really much enjoyed calling instead of texting people, now I more and more often actually ran into problems. There were situations where this was just super impractical. For example, I was in WhatsApp group chats for my uni, for birthday parties, grandparents or whatnot, and I simply can't tell 50 people in a group chat that, hey, can you please summarize regularly what you write in this group chat because I am now offline? I felt like situations like these where the dumb phone actually reached its limits for me and my lifestyle. And to compensate that, I actually set up everything on my computer. WhatsApp web, Signal, Telegram, I was watching YouTube videos there, I was listening to music there, and somehow I just shifted my screen time from my phone to my actual computer.
We should take
Screen time.
and push it somewhere else.
Also, there were so many things that I just constantly missed. Because yes, on this thing, my screen time was too high. Yes, I was consuming stupid content and wasting my time way too often. But there were also things like, for example, podcasts, music, and most importantly, audiobooks for me, that I felt were a really good use of my time and that I didn't want to miss. Or for example, when I was on holiday and I just missed the opportunity to actually just pull out my smartphone and take a picture of whatever I saw at that moment. And I slowly realized that I had to change something about my approach. You see, I did not try this whole experiment right here because I wanted to film some fancy video for my YouTube channel or so. No, this was actually 3 years ago or so, before I even had this YouTube channel. And the only reason why I actually wanted to switch to a dumb phone was because I was fed up with my smartphone and I wanted to make a meaningful change. And I knew that if I wanted to continue this experiment, then I had to really much think about how I could make this dumb phone actually work for me in the long run. The solution, even more tech. So after thinking about it for a very long time, I decided to add some tech into my life again. Before all of this, my main goal was actually to reduce my screen time and feel better in general, and not to live in the Stone Ages or so. So for example, I bought this super cool MP3 player here, on which you can not only listen to music and podcasts, but also officially to Audible audiobooks, which was really important to me. When I started carrying around this little nugget here, it was kind of weird because I was so used to streaming services where you could just listen to whatever you wanted, but then you also tend to listen to some music that you don't really much like that much. But on this thing here, I only downloaded the songs that I really much liked and that were actually my favorite. When it came to the camera, I actually experimented with quite many options. So at some points I used a digital camera, and at other times I used some old analog cameras, which you can get like for $10 in the supermarket, and you can also then make them and roll the photos. It was not a perfect fix, so I really much enjoyed this when I was on vacation or just going outside and really had taking picture on my mind, but I still kind of missed the ability of a smartphone to just take random snapshots. Especially like the analog camera, and took some of my favorite pictures so far on this one. And that was about the 3rd month I actually used my dumb phone, and at that time I made one change that would eventually bring my dumb phone journey to an end and start another one towards a life where I use tech more mindfully. I actually carried my phone again with me, because I figured I didn't want to be scared of that time-wasting smartphone anymore, and decide myself what I'm going to do on my phone and what not, and to use it actually for things that are useful to me. And therefore I created 2 rules that made handling the smartphone, that I now newly integrated into my lifestyle again, actually far more manageable. First, my smartphone always had to be turned off, and I would only turn it on when I actually need to do something on my phone. And after that, I would eventually immediately turn it off again. And number 2, I would always place it somewhere that's far away from me. So when I'm at home, that usually means that I would store it in a drawer, or when I'm doing something outside, that would usually mean that I put it deep into my backpack or so. And by doing that, I actually wanted to make sure that I could use again all the features that I actually missed, like train schedules, tickets, using navigation, without immediately being sucked into my phone again. And here we are 3 years later. Am I still using my dumb phone? No, actually not. Do I want to use it again? No, actually also not. I feel like that time without my smartphone, that digital detox if you want, and also the time where I slowly reintegrated my smartphone, really much teach me a lesson and made me go about it in a completely different way. Since I made this experiment, my screen time actually stayed super low throughout all the time. Have there been the occasional 2-hour doom scrolling sessions? Yes, but that's only an exception to the rule. Generally, I really much used my phone way less since then. I really much appreciate the time without a smartphone, and like I learned how to not get distracted or also not let myself be distracted that easily. And I felt like I was ready to use this super ambiguous piece of plastic again. Something that can actually be super useful in your everyday life, but also be an immense waste of time if you do not use it correctly. But I figured that the key to all of this is that you have to learn yourself what kind of a relationship you actually want to have with this piece of technology right here, or not. I'm super curious about your thoughts on dumb phones, and if you tried one yourself or want to do so, please write it down in the comments. I'm super curious what you all think. And if you're into digital minimalism and actually want to reduce your screen time as well, without actually going that far, then I made a really much related video to this one that you can find here, where I actually talk about several ways how you can turn your normal smartphone into some sort of a modern dumb phone that actually makes you use your phone way less without giving up all the modern benefits of a smartphone. Besides that, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. This helps a ton with your algorithm and stuff. And besides that, again, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Bye bye.